Order. Order. The question has been asked. Order. 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 The Leader of the Nationals.
And my question is to the Prime Minister. Is the Prime Minister aware that the Labor Chief Minister in the Northern Territory wants a 50-year moratorium on the carbon tax? The Labor Premier of Tasmania says the tax is not fair. The Labor Premier of Queensland says she understands people's fears about the carbon tax. And the Labor Premier of South Australia says he has deep concerns about the job losses as a result of the carbon tax. Can the Prime Minister name one Premier who is in favour of her carbon tax?
Order. Order. The House. Order. The House will come to order. 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 The Minister, Member for Goldstein. The Minister and the Member for Goldstein. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and I thank the Leader of the National Party for his question. And I'm very happy to name people who are in support of pricing carbon. For example, there's former Prime Minister Howard. For example, there's former Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser. For example, there's former Liberal leader Malcolm Turnbull. For example, there's former Liberal leader Brendan Nelson. For example, there's Andrew Peacock, who took a cut in emissions to an election, and the list goes on and on. As I understand it, the Leader of the Opposition...
Order. The Prime Minister will resume her seat. Prime Minister has the call. Should be heard in silence. Prime Minister. The member for Hume is warned. Prime Minister has the call.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. My understanding is that the Leader of the Opposition is the only living national Liberal leader in this country who is opposed to a price on carbon. The Deputy Leader of the Opposition interjected
the member for North Sydney is
and
warned.
yes it is that the Leader of the Opposition has allowed his political negativity to mean that he has turned his back on the Liberal tradition
the
of
Deputy Leader of the
Prime
Opposition
Ministers
is warned.
like John Howard. Successful Prime Ministers like John Howard, they have walked away from that tradition because they are preferring the path of negativity to putting an idea in the nation's
a general
interest.
warning.
And then, of course, Mr Speaker, I was asked about who I can name who supports carbon pricing. Let me actually
The member for Patterson is named. The Leader of the House.
I move that the member be excused from the services of the House.
Order. The question is the motion moved by the Leader of the House be agreed to. All those of that opinion say aye. Contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. Division required. Division required. Ring the bells for 4 minutes. The question is that the motion moved by the Leader of the House be agreed to. The ayes will pass to the right of the chair, the noes to the left. I appoint the honourable members for Shortland and Fowler tellers for the ayes, and the members for Parkes and Barker tellers for the noes. Order. The result of the division is ayes 71, noes 72. The question is therefore negatived, and after question time I will be taking the time to consider my position. Order. The Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, I move that this House has confidence in your speakership.
Yeah. Order. Order. Get out of it. Order. Order.
It's supposed to be on your side.
Order.
You're the smarty pants out there. Time to be gracious, Albo.
Order. Order. The Leader of the Opposition would require leave.
Well, Mr Speaker, I seek leave to move that this House has confidence in your speakership.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted. The Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And Mr Speaker, and I thank members opposite for the opportunity to move this motion. And I may not detain the House for quite as long as I have on the clock, but Mr Speaker, obviously we have been in uncharted and difficult parliamentary waters ever since the Parliament resumed after the last election. Obviously, in the circumstances where the government cannot naturally command a majority, the job of the speakership is even more difficult than usual. Now, Mr Speaker, I want to say that under difficult circumstances you have done your job with commendable impartiality and with considerable forbearance. I know, Mr Speaker, that all members of this House from time to time try your patience. I know from time to time I do. I suspect from time to time the Prime Minister does. Mr Speaker, all of us in this House are trying to make political points, as we should, given that this House's job is to determine the great questions before our nation. But, Mr Speaker, I don't think anyone on this side of the House has anything other than respect for the job you do under difficult circumstances. And the last thing any of us would want to see is you feel that you have been compromised in your ability to discharge your office by the vote that has just been taken. Whatever we on this side of the House think of a particular decision that you might have just made, we do have deep and abiding confidence in your ability to run this House, Mr Speaker. I want to put it on the record that it is not the opinion of this side of the Parliament that anyone could do a better job than you in maintaining the order and the discipline of this House. So you have discharged your office very effectively in the previous Parliament. If I may say so, Mr Speaker, you have done your job with even more dignity and more assurance and more command in the more difficult circumstances of this Parliament. As you know, Mr Speaker, when there was some question as to whether the government would renominate you in the weeks after the election, it was the position of the opposition, of the coalition, that you should be renominated, and nothing has changed in the intervening 9 months to alter that view of the opposition, that you are by far and away the best person to take the chair, that you are by far and away the best person to run what is inevitably to do a difficult job in the circumstances of a hung Parliament. Mr Speaker, I really do understand how you would be feeling at this present time. You made a call. It was the best call that you could make in your judgment at that time. On this side of the House, we respectfully disagreed with the call that you made. As it happened, our judgment was backed by the House, but the fact that on this particular occasion, this solitary occasion, your judgment has not been supported by the House, please do not for a moment think that that indicates any want of confidence in your speakership, and that is why I am moving this motion. Mr. Speaker, please, do not judge what is the appropriate thing to do in the circumstances of this House by what might have been the appropriate thing to do in the circumstances of very different houses. This is, in this respect at least, genuinely a new paradigm. In this respect at least, it is genuinely a new paradigm, and please, Mr. Speaker, do not add to the difficulties of this day by feeling that you cannot continue in the chair.